Bunko fugitive, Smith. Oh, yeah. There was, huh? How long ago? Uh-huh. Well, thanks very much. You bet. Well, now we know where he got the name.
Do we?
There was a Sergeant Haspel. He worked in the supply division. He retired in '52.
Good. Let's get a hold of him. Maybe he can help us.
He died last year.
We continued to question the victim, Harold Huberman, but he could give us no further information about the suspect. We continued our efforts to trace the suspect through former associates. We finally succeeded in locating his wife in an apartment house in the Silver Lake district. 3:14 p.m. We talked with Elsie Mackin.
It's been over a month since I saw Jay. He cleared out of here right after we moved in.
Do you know where he's living?
Haven't the faintest. Cloud 9, probably.
What do you mean?
Real far out, that boy.
You mean he's using narcotics?
Oh, not that I know of. He doesn't have to. He gets that way naturally.
Do you ever hear from him?
He phoned me once since he left.
Where was he then?
Didn't bother to ask. Oh, it's all over between him and me. I'm getting a divorce as soon as I can afford it.
Well, can you tell us anything that might help us find him?
Like what?
Well, like what kind of work does he do? Who are his friends? Where does he spend his time?
Those are real tough ones. I'd say it all depends.
Depends on what?
Whatever mood he's in at the time.
Do you know if he has a job now?
I doubt it. The last I heard, he was going to be a colonel in the Air Force.
A colonel?
Think big, that's Jay's motto. He gets carried away with his ambitions. Unfortunately, he never gets carried out of the chair. You know, before he was going to be an Air Force colonel, he was going to be the world's greatest racing driver. And before that, he was going to go to India and become a yogi. You know, it's too bad he didn't go.
Do you know any of his friends?
Who could be friends with a combination Jet Ace, Swami, and Barney Oldfield? Nobody I know.
Well, all right. Did you or your husband know a Sergeant Haspel in the police department?
Yeah, he was my uncle. Real nice old guy. Died about a year ago. What's that got to do with Jay? I don't really want to know anything more about him. But I suppose I should ask, what has he done now?
He's been impersonating a police officer, using your uncle's name.
Jay, a cop? Well, now, that's a hot one.
Do you know if he has any girlfriends? Someone he might see regularly?
I don't know. No, I don't think so, unless it's recent. Jay never played around much. That's not one of his faults. We separated because of a different reason.
Why?
Well, he started acting nervous as soon as I told him I was going to have the kid. Oh, he acted like he was glad and everything, but I could see he was worried.
You mean from the money angle?
Jay always managed to get enough money. When he wanted to work, he could land a good job. But there was something about being a father he just couldn't stand.
Yeah.
So permanent.
Frank and I drove back to the office where we found a bulletin from the Santa Monica Police Department. Same MO and description. Must be Mackin again.
How'd he score this time?
Well, he found a 64-year-old man in the bus depot. Watched him buy a ticket to San Diego, then he stopped him when he got outside.
Uh-huh.
Told the old fellow that he'd used a counterfeit $5 bill to buy his ticket. The victim said that he had just gotten the money at the bank. The suspect walked him to the bank, identified himself to the teller as a police sergeant, and verified his story.
Some guts, huh?
Yeah. And then he took the victim's wallet and told him to wait while he phoned headquarters to check him out. He walked out and left the old man sitting there.
How much did he get?
$340.
Can we help you, son?
Yes, sir. The guy downstairs told me to come up here.
All right, you want to have a chair?
I won't have to pay a fine, will I?
Well, I don't know. That depends on what you've done.
Will I have to go to jail?
Well, what seems to be the trouble?
Well, it must be pretty serious. I wouldn't be here in the first place. But I think you've got the wrong guy.
You want to tell us your name?
Bob Tepps. Robert, that is.
Well, why'd you come see us, Bob?
I didn't. I was brought.
All right, then. Why were you brought?
Listen, if I'm going to be kept here, I better phone my parents. They're expecting me home. In fact, I should have been there half an hour ago.
Well, all right. You can phone them if you like.
Oh, boy, they're going to die when they hear I'm in jail.
Well, you're not in jail, son.
Same thing.
Well, now, look, why don't you tell us the problem first before you phone, and then we'll know how serious it is.
Okay. Started out real simple. All I did was make a right turn.
A right turn.
Yeah, I even signaled before I did it. But he didn't see that because he was on the right side.
Well, now, wait a minute. Did you hit anybody?
No, but almost.
Well, now, you know, this isn't traffic. This is bunco.
I know. What's bunco?
It means schemes to defraud people, taking money under false pretenses.
The man at the desk told me to come here. I got tired of standing around. I must have waited for an hour and a half. So I asked him.
What were you waiting for?
For the other policeman to come back, the one that took my wallet to check me through R&I, whatever that is.
What was the man's name, the one who took your wallet?
Sergeant Haspel?
You started to tell us how he happened to bring you in.
Yeah. It was all because of that right turn. Just as I swung around the corner, he stepped off the curb to cross the street. I guess I almost ran over his toes.
Well, where did this happen?
Fifth and Olive. He was trying to cross Olive when I turned into it. He yelled at me and ordered me to pull over right then.
And you did?
Yeah. He sounded like he meant it. He said right off that he was a policeman, and he flashed the badge at me. At first, I thought I actually hit him. He seemed so mad.
Well, what did he say to you?
First off, he gave me a big lecture on violating the right-of-way of pedestrians. Really chewed me out.
Then he asked to see your driver's license.
That's right. I handed him my wallet, and he looked at the license for a long time, then at me. Then he told me he'd have to bring me down to the station.
Well, didn't you think that was unusual, just for a traffic offense?
Well, that's what I said to him. But he told me I answered the description of a robbery suspect they've been looking for. So I'd have to come in with him while he checked me through R&I, whatever that is.
That's records and identification.
I was snowed. So I let him climb right in the car with me. We drove up here, and he told me to park the car across the street. Then we walked in downstairs.
What happened after you got in the building?
And we got in the elevator, and he took me up to the main floor. He told me to wait there in the hall until he came back.
Did you see where he went?
Just through a door with no name on it. I've never been in here before. All looks the same to me.
And how long did you say you waited for him?
About an hour and a half, I guess. I figured it'd be better for me if I didn't make any fuss. I knew I hadn't robbed anybody, and I'd be clear to that. There was still that right turn business, and I didn't want to irritate him.
Yeah, we understand.
Anyhow, I finally got tired of waiting. So I looked around till I found a guy in uniform at the information counter. I told him the trouble, and he sent me up here.
Is this the fellow who brought you in?
Yeah, that's him.
You want to phone your family now?
No, I guess I'd better tell them in person about losing the money. That is, if I can go home now.
Well, we'd like to get a crime report from you first, but you can go any time after that unless you can tell us something else that might help.
No, I can't think of anything.
Did he talk to you while you were driving down here?
Not a word. Except to remind me a couple of times what a lousy driver I was. Sure had me fooled.
Well, he's fooled some others, too.
You know, how was I to know? After all, he had a badge. It looked legitimate.
You're not the first one that's been taken by this con man.
Maybe I better tell you. He had something else that made me think he was a policeman.
What's that?
A gun?